and HIV, a social justice imperative as we discuss Day of Unity and how you do Day of Unity. My name is Pastor William Francis, and I am lead servant with Atlanta Faith in Action, the Affiliate Center in Atlanta, and ambassador with the Black Church and HIV Social Justice Initiative. And again, I'll be serving as your moderator and presenter on today. So really excited to be with you on today to discuss this awesome opportunity for faith leaders across the country to come together and discuss HIV as a social justice imperative. I do want to apologize for some of the background noise. I'm actually at the airport here in LA, flying back to Atlanta. I had a great meeting just discussing the future of HIV prevention and care, and it was just great to be in the room and add the faith perspective to that conversation. I hear several clicks that are coming in, so again, we just want to welcome you all for being with us on today, and I think we'll be in for a great discussion. So I also need to thank the NAACP and Gilead for asking me to facilitate today's session. So you should see in front of you our first slide, which says, how do you do, D-O-U, Day of Unity. So then if you have any questions, please put those into the chat box. I want to make sure that I get to any questions, comments, concerns, etc. But any questions, put those in the chat box, and we will get to each and every one of them before our time is up on today. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So we see we have a relatively aggressive agenda over the next half an hour, 45 minutes or so before we open up for questions. It'll just be introduction, opening prayer, the HIV epidemic in Black America, why the church, the NAACP, the Black Church, and HIV social justice imperative. We'll talk a little bit about the initiative. We'll talk about what is Day of Unity and how you can get started. And then, like I said, I really like to spend more time on the questions and answers part because I do believe if you're on the call on today, then you're already doing either work within the faith-based community or HIV community, and then we'll close out in prayer. So just a quick word of prayer, if you all don't mind. Father, Mother God, we just come, Lord, just thanking you for yet this day. Father God, we just ask that you just open up our hearts, minds, and souls, Lord God. As we look at HIV from a social justice imperative, Lord God, we ask that you bring healing to this nation, bring healing to our individual states, bring healing into our cities, Lord God, and let it just be, Father God, where we can just continue to do this work with the zeal and in your will, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go to the next slide. You see here we have the HIV epidemic in Black America. This is actually coming from AidView. I do encourage you to go to aidview.org. You're able to put in your zip code, state reports, different things of that nature. So what you'll notice is in some of the darker areas, especially in the South regions, it's a higher prevalence of HIV. But what I use this map for in our trainings, we've done about 30 cities thus far, looking to do 45 as part of the initiative, that those areas that are hardest hit with HIV are also where you'll find minorities, you'll find high poverty rates, low income. You'll find lack of access to care on states that do not do like Medicaid expansion, different things of that nature. So I've always thought the overlap of the HIV epidemic in Black America was interesting because as we start looking at social determinants or social justice issues, you will see that African Americans are hardest hit, especially within the South and in those minority populated areas. So I do encourage you to go to aidview.org. And you can do some further research on your own cities. We can go to the next slide. And on this next slide, this is just some more information just in reference to the HIV epidemic in Black America. Some very interesting points just around, again, where the epidemic and the burden lies, the amount of African Americans in reference to population as it is to those that are affected with HIV, those that were diagnosed through 2014, and you'll see, especially on the purple slide, that 2/3 of those that were infected live there in the South. In the blue portion, it just gives a breakdown on gender between African American men and women, which is really shocking. And then again, just going down in the green and the orange sections, just some more information on the epidemic. answered. So again, if you have any questions, do put those in the chat box. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on the HIV epidemic because, again, I feel that I'm preaching to the choir. But if you do have a question, we'll have Alicia go ahead and call that out for me. But these are just some really good tools, especially dealing with faith leaders, making sure that utilizing the tool of AidView.org and some of these stats really drive the HIV epidemic home. The original community-based organization is the church, and I think that is one of our most underutilized tools in combating HIV, also understanding that through stigma, self-stigma, discrimination, et cetera, that the church has done some damage, but I also think that the church can be a place of healing for many people living with HIV if we get them the right information and begin to utilize them as that untapped tool. So we can go to the next slide.
Reverend Francis, we actually have a question.
Sure, great.
Question is it possible to get some of these stats sent to us to share on our website?
Yes, we can. I do believe these are also available through our website, Black Church and HIV, and then also through AidView. But if you have put in your email address, I'm sure we'll be able to send you the slide deck for use on your website and then with your outreach to your faith-based community. So we'll make sure that happens as well.
And I'll just follow up on that. We'll be sure to include the link to these to the slides, the infographics, and the webinar itself in an email after this, so we can get that information to you.
Yep. So that'll be great. All right. So looking here at our next slide. All right, so how do we combat HIV within our communities? I think we've had a long-standing conversation about equality and not enough conversation about equity. And I really use this slide to show the difference between equality and equity. Equality is everyone there behind the fence gets the same size box, where on the right graphic you see that they get what's proportion to the need. Now, I also feel going a step further is that not only do we have to begin a conversation about health equity, but we have to begin talking about removing the fence as well. So I think that's also a barrier that we need to really have a in-depth conversation within our community-based organizations, our aid service organizations, on both the federal, national, and local level, because again, it really has to be about moving the fence all together. But have used this graphic. It has really resonated across the country with faith leaders on the difference between equality and equity. So I just wanted to make sure we sort of threw that in. But this next slide really hits home when we start dealing with faith leaders, because from a community perspective, I always hear about behavioral intervention, that we have to address behavior. Well, if we were to put the health disparities on the leaves of a tree, and on the trunk of that tree, on the limb of those trees, we put those behaviors that would cause those health disparities. And we put a few on this graphic. So HIV, some would say that your exposure to STDs or promiscuous sex or, morality, whatever they may feel causes HIV. Same thing with diabetes, with cancer. They may say, well, smoking causes cancer, or unhealthy eating leads to high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. Well, when we go to take down that tree, we have a tendency to begin to cut off the limbs, and then we cut the actual trunk. And I actually did that about 4 or 5 years ago in my driveway. The roots of a tree are actually what's destroying my driveway at home. So I cut down the tree, and I thought that would end the problem. But I never killed the roots, and now the driveway is even worse. Where it was probably maybe $1,500, $2,000 damage. It's about $4,000 or $5,000 damage now, because I never thought about the root. And I think if we're going to end HIV, what our ASOs, CBOs, our faith leaders in particular really need to do is begin to focus on, and there's a lot of buzz around social determinants of health, but these are really social justice issues: lack of education, poverty, lack of access to care, lack of education, especially again in the South, comprehensive sexuality education. we never really talk about trauma when it comes to HIV or mental health issues with HIV. And there's story after story that we have shared on the road that, you know, and I can use one example with our church, really around homelessness, that we started feeding homeless in our area, and a lady pulled up in her car, wanted to speak with the pastor. You know, I introduced myself, and she was very upset that I was bringing these people into her community, and how dare you, you know, feed them. Now they're going to stay here. And as she went through her tirade, I simply asked her a question, well, what is the fear with, quote unquote, these people being in your community? Well, they've broken into my car and stolen money and, you know, for drugs, et cetera. And that's interesting. I said, well, you know, when was the last time that your car got broken into? And she said, well, you know, actually, if I think about it, it's only been about 3 or 4 months, but still. But we had been out feeding for about 6 months. So just in feeding the homeless in this particular area, we were able to reduce crime in an odd type of way. Well, if we could reduce poverty, if we could work on lack of education and put comprehensive sexuality education in our schools or even in our churches, we want to shy away from the word sexuality, but I also say that we shy away from any conversation around sex. But comprehensive sexuality education isn't just LGBTQ issues. It also deals with trauma. It also deals with rape. And I think many of our faith leaders would be surprised at the amount of people that have had some sort of sexual trauma in their history right there in their congregation. Just like many, and this is a litmus test that we've used with our faith leaders, people will come to the altar and pray, I'm getting a divorce, or I've lost my home or my job, or, you know, I'm sick or whatever. And I always ask how many, you know, have come to your altar and said, hey, pray for me because, you know, I have HIV. And that's because we haven't created the safe space for people to do such. They still feel that they're going to be stigmatized or discriminated against. And we really have to begin to address self-stigma. And one of the things that we have done with faith leaders across the country is we talked about pastoral care and counseling, testing. Using this graphic, they begin to see how they're able to address HIV, quote unquote, beyond condom distribution, which is what a lot of our ASOs and CBOs demand that the churches do. If a church opens up their door to allow you to do testing, put the condoms in a brown paper bag under the table, give them to everybody and apologize later. That's coming from a pastor, but we know that everyone is not abstaining or everyone is not celibate or whatever. So we hand out condoms under the table, and we've asked that question, you know, do condoms have a place in church? And it takes faith leaders a while to get around to that. They have to save lives as well as save souls. And in order to do that, we have to meet people where they are. And that has been the conversation around this graphic. So real excited that you all see the benefit in using this graphic. The tree really, it really works, and it really just, you know, hones in on why we have to address HIV as a social justice issue. So again, in order to take down the tree, we must get to the roots, and those roots are deeply embedded in social justice work, and ministry is certainly founded within social justice. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Why the church? A lot of folks had questions on why we would go to the church. Well, as you see there, we have the power of over 20 million to end HIV. We were in Atlanta. We had to do a testing event. We really didn't think that this mega church we would get a whole lot of numbers around HIV, and, you know, especially them testing right after service. We tested after service, and we had over 300 after their first service and another 300 after their second service respond to HIV testing. And we had 2 testers that were there because, again, we didn't anticipate those type of numbers. It was a health and wellness ministry, nurses and doctors that went to the church that came in, and they were able to draw blood 4 to 5 times faster than my fastest tester. They are a underutilized tool, but we have to give them the information and even meet the church where they are. We had a church in Jacksonville. The pastor was very open that his leadership was not going to allow him to preach on HIV, where they were not going to do any testing in the church or condom distribution, but he really had the heart and the desire to do so. But they fed 700 people on Tuesdays, and we were able to link him with the Board of Health, park their mobile unit across the street from the church and gave tickets to the Board of Health, and folks would go, get tested, get a ticket for free food in the food pantry, and the church wound up being a great resource, and then eventually did come aboard because they began to pray for folks that were diagnosed with HIV and began to really not pray for the person but for the need, and it wound up being a great partnership. And there's story after story after story across the country. Humboldt, Texas, Pastor Sloan, one of our ambassadors, preached a message about HIV as a social justice issue, and now they have one of the strongest HIV ministries in the country, and I do believe have started looking at other areas where they could open up a clinic as well. So again, why the church? Because the church is an underutilized tool, and if we have real open conversations, it's going to be uncomfortable for the leaders of our ASOs and CBOs and even senior leadership within churches. But we have found that when we talk about HIV as a social justice issue, that they begin to see that it's not about who the person is sleeping with or behaviors, et cetera. It's really about getting to the roots. So 30 million blacks live in the U.S. You see a large number of them, over 53%, attend church weekly. So we can harness the power of 20 million to end HIV, and really excited to have done my part. This is my favorite quote by Dr. Martin Luther King. We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We're confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such thing as being too late. And especially with this new administration and the uncertainty of the future of HIV prevention and care, the urgency of now is today. So really excited that you are on this call to discuss Day of Unity with us. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. So the NAACP got together and wanted to do something, and they have a rich history in social justice and civil rights, human rights work. You see a couple bullets of some of their accomplishments, in reference to the things that they have done. But they wanted to bring black faith leaders together because we knew that they were trusted conveners and educators in the community. So in 2010, NAACP and Gilead launched this pilot initiative, the Black Church and HIV Social Justice Imperative. It really had a three-pronged approach that what we wanted to do was, one, to do faith leader trainings. We wanted to do denominational leadership engagement, as well as put courses around HIV and ministering to people with HIV, et cetera, within the seminary. So we were really excited that as we began to do that, the faith leader training that I've been an intricate part in, we've been to Detroit, Atlanta. We'll show a map a little later of all the cities that we've been to. Great successes coming out of those cities, denominational leadership, and then integrating this manual within the seminaries. And we wanted to reverse the severe and desperate impact of HIV within the African-American community, but we wanted to reduce the stigma and self-stigma also in the African-American community around HIV. And we wanted to make sure that our pastors were empowered with the knowledge and the support to preach to their congregations about HIV. And when we first started this initiative, we had that open dialogue with pastors, and pastors addressed some real concerns that they thought HIV would sadly enough, lower membership, lowering offering, would cut into programs, et cetera. But we were very excited that as we talked through those issues and pastors stepped out on faith and brought messages around HIV and social justice, that it was very well received by their congregations across denominational and not in the South, but also the North and the other cities that we went. So it became a very worthwhile initiative. Next slide, please. And we began to amp it up in 2013 when we also partnered with the Clinton Global Initiative. We went from these 30 cities to 45 faith leader trainings. We wanted to make sure that we were able to obtain these formal resolutions from mainline denominations saying that they would, in fact, address HIV in their church. And when a denomination does it, it sort of trickles down to other churches. And then, of course, we wanted to integrate HIV as a social justice issue in 5 predominantly black seminaries. And those have been going well. It looks like we are slated to reach our goal by mid-2018. But we're really excited with the partnership of Gilead Sciences, the NAACP, and Clinton Global Initiative to get these goals done. Next slide, please. So there you see the map of the cities that we've been to. We've been to Newark, Detroit, Columbus, Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Charlotte, Jacksonville, Atlanta. We'll be going to Baton Rouge very soon, Orlando, Tampa. We've already did those, had some great sessions there. We've been to Nashville, Memphis. Story that came out of Birmingham, we actually partnered with the university and CFAR, and they continue the work and now having a conversation about doing Sunday school curriculum around comprehensive sexuality education, again, using, academia within the faith community to write curriculum that would be acceptable to, faith leaders. We were in San Antonio, and the conversation came up about criminalization, and the NAACP branch there partnered with faith leaders to begin talking and changing HIV criminalization laws. Houston was absolutely phenomenal, just the rich history that was in the room there in Houston. So we have a couple more cities that will be added to the list. Again, the stories have been too many to really list. We've done Oakland just recently, Vegas, Los Angeles, Phoenix as well, and I headed out to San Francisco and San Diego in the upcoming months. So you see that we have covered a large portion of these dark areas and have churches in those areas working collaboratively to end the HIV epidemic. Next slide, please. So here we are, coming up on July 23rd of this year. We're asking our faith leaders to sign up and commit to preach about HIV as a social justice issue on Day of Unity. That's more than 21,000 Black churches in the U.S. It would be great one day to say that all 21,000 have signed up for Day of Unity. But we know with your help, we can continue to harness the power of the pulpit to change the course of the HIV epidemic for African Americans. You will see the website there, the blackchurchandhiv.org. I think that's a / Day of Unity. And we're asking our faith leaders to preach, share, and act. I think that's so important that we do it from the pulpit, that we preach a message. If you go to that same website, the blackchurchandhiv.org, you can download our pastoral brief. You can download our activity manual as well for faith leaders. It'll give you a couple suggestions around sermon topics. I do encourage our faith leaders on the call on today to contact your local Board of Health or to go to that aidview.org site so you can get up-to-date and current information there in your city. I absolutely love, again, AidView because you can put in the zip code of your church. And if we are saying that we are part of a community, you will see HIV is in your community, which means that it is in your congregation. Here is a map of all of our partners that are participating in Day of Unity. Again, really heavily focused on the South. So we're excited that the South, hardest hit with the burden of HIV is participating. We have several pastors, associate friends of mine that have called, and they're excited about this. I will actually be traveling on that day. I was a little angst about whether or not we would be able to participate in Day of Unity, but my executive pastor said that he had no issue on preaching on that day around HIV and social justice. So I'll be able to tap into Facebook Live and listen to his message. But it has really began to resonate with our congregation. We do an event every third Saturday where we service over 1,500 people. And, as we're giving out clothes, hygiene kits, showers, haircuts, different things of that nature, all of our volunteers, all of our congregants are encouraging folks to go get HIV tested and then can articulate why folks should get tested every 3 to 6 months. And, again, this is from a faith-based perspective, so it has been great to participate. So we want you to preach, but we also want to share with your network. We cannot do this alone. Faith-based organizations can't do it alone, nor can ASOs and CBOs do it alone. So we have to collaborate and partner to end the epidemic in our community. And I think it's a great opportunity to hit it from the public health side, but then also to hit the powers and principalities from a higher level. You see that there is the link to download the pastoral brief and the activity manual. You can share that through your social media sites, through your network. Please go in and register to participate. I believe that you can even go in if you're a CBO, ASO, still register so we can keep you up to date on all of the happenings around Day of Unity. They have us currently sending in pictures and video. We want to encourage you that if you have a small snippet of the message, any pictures, please send those to the website so we can go ahead and show the world what we're doing through faith-based collaborations in our community to end HIV. So I do believe that is my last slide. I again apologize for any background noise. I just wanted to quickly take you through just a little bit about what we've done and what we're planning on doing. But now the question becomes, how do you do Day of Unity? So please, let's try opening up the lines, Alicia. Hopefully the background noise doesn't get too intense. But we can go ahead and open up the lines. If you want to go ahead and put in a chat and use the chat box, we can do that as well. But let's open up the line for some questions and have some dialogue here. So I'm ready for the first question, Alicia, if you are.
Okay, so looking right now. All right. Why have you not been in New York, which is an epidemic center, and also launched the Harlem Week of Prayer and the Black Leadership Commission on AIDS, who have done great faith work with leaders on HIV?
Okay, we did come to New York. We were actually in Brooklyn, I believe, a year and a half ago, and we are looking at, I believe, New York is still on the calendar for this year. We have done work with Balm and Gilead in reference to National Week of Prayer. We have participated. There is also a National Faith HIV Awareness Day that is coming up soon. We participate also in USCA's Pre-Faith Conference. So we have partnered with other organizations. I do work with NBLACA in Atlanta as well. So we have done some work with those organizations. I encourage everyone to to look at that. We really just looked at HIV as a social justice issue. That's what our work is rooted in. But I always talk about participating in National Week of Prayer, and we could probably put this on the website as a free download or whatever, Alicia. But I share this calendar with faith leaders to do some sort of HIV and faith training in January, and then do a sermon in February for National Black HIV AIDS Awareness Day. Let the church know that this organization, this faith organization, is going to do more to address HIV in our community. And then undergird that in prayer that first week in March. Come back with your women's ministry for National HIV Women and Girls Day. In April, you can work with your youth ministry around the Youth Awareness Day. And then in June, most folks wind up doing some sort of community outreach, whether it's a barbecue or a picnic or something, to offer a community HIV testing there, with churches predominantly being in zip codes of high prevalence. That works extremely well to test community members as well as your congregants, and have the pastor actually do a test from the pulpit or from the stage at that event. July, of course, there is Day of Unity. August, there's a National Men's HIV Awareness Day that you can work with your men's ministry. I share with people, don't just talk about HIV, but just talk about men's health in general, because if you get them in the room, hit them with prostate and HIV and mental health and different things of that nature. Don't do it on a Saturday morning because they have football or basketball practice, but you should do it, really put a ball game on the big screen, and during the commercials, give them information around health. That's what we do at the ASEA Center, especially during football season. We don't meet until 2 o'clock, and nobody wants to miss a football game, so we just put some hot dogs on a grill and turn on the very small TV, because we are not a mega church, but we put the game on and we have conversation with men in the community about issues that affect men. So you do that in August. I believe September, October, we can talk to our Mothers Board. Mother Cialis, Mother Levitra, and Mother Viagra are still having sex. second group that has rising rates of HIV and STD. If you didn't get that, I'm talking about the little blue pill. And when you start talking to the seniors, they will tell you that they don't need the full 4 hours. They just need 4 minutes of intimacy. Well, that leaves Deacon Johnny 3 hours and 56 minutes, with this pill still left. And he is stepping from room 102 with Miss Gladys and going to room 207 to Miss Gertrude, and then probably popping over to an Atlanta, Magic City, not realizing that some STDs are skin contact, and bringing those back into the active senior home. And again, spreading HIV and STDs for the first time within our seniors. They're also the primary caregivers of our young people and need the information as well. So you will be surprised that the Mothers Board will take more condoms than probably some of the millennials that are too embarrassed to take condoms from the church. But our seniors will take the condoms, whether it's for their own use or to give to their grandchildren. But they are very receptive, and I think, again, just need to give the information. You just got to break it down so they understand it. And then you can do a World AIDS Day by doing a healing concert with your music and arts ministry and talk about the global epidemic, but again, really bring that back home. But there are some great healing songs in all faiths and all types of worship that faith-based organizations can use to really minister to those people living with HIV. We did one a year and a half ago with Bishop William Murphy, Isaac Curry, and I really talk like I have a mega church, and I really don't. I just have some great relationships with some great people that make things happen. But we did a healing concert, and to see people with HIV going up and asking for prayer and, again, being prayed for their need was absolutely awesome. To see the tears and to see where they came in somewhat depressed and heavy, that they left much lighter. So we do work with those organizations. We talk about them in all of our sessions and the work that they do, because our work is not independent. It has to be collaborative and collective. We got to hit HIV from every side, because HIV is certainly hitting us from every side. So next question, Alicia.
Okay, I'm actually going to try opening up the lines. Everyone, if you could please mute your line if you're not planning to speak. That will help with feedback. Again, if we get feedback, I will have to mute everyone again, and we'll continue the Q&A through the chat system. So bear with me with 1 second. Okay, everyone's unmuted. It sounds pretty good. Again, please mute your line if you're not planning to speak. Feel free to ask your question.
Hello, this is Terry Nelson. I typed in my question, but my question is, do you have to register even if your church is participating in the July 23rd event?
Sorry, what state or city are you calling from?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, welcome. We would like for you to register, so that way with any announcements or any upcoming events that we do put that into our listserv. Because we go to several cities, we always, let folks know what's going on within the HIV faith community in those cities, and that is one way that we're able to keep track of what you all are doing. If you are participating, please send us, a program clip, a picture, something, so we can go ahead and highlight you on the site for participating. But please do register, and again, go through blackchurchhiv.org /Day of Unity and register your faith-based organization. You can do that, because we only ask for the pastor's name, the church, and just basic contact information.
Okay, I've registered myself as an individual, but have not registered my church, because I had not gotten clarity or to get it cleared to do that, even though we are participating on July 23rd. But I will get it cleared, through the church to register the church, but I am registered independently.
Okay, great. And again, as we go to cities, we want to make sure that we invite those faith leaders, those community representatives into the room and talk about the great work that you all are doing, and then how we can assist you further.
All right, thank you.
And thank you.
Can we,
I think we had
sorry.
Go ahead.
Can we ask what your plans are for Day of Unity, if you don't mind sharing with everyone?
No, I don't mind sharing. We are having someone come in to speak at our 10:45 service. They will do like a 10-minute presentation, and then after the service, we will go into a separate room, fellowship hall, where that individual will go further into their testimony and then be able to answer questions. And we're hoping to have testing there as well.
That sounds incredible.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, please share any pictures you have.
Please. And I think it is just so great to hear churches opening up their pulpits for the discussion at the 10:45 hour. Used to be the 11 o'clock hour for most of us, but we've gone to 2 or 3 services on Sunday. But 10:45 is what we consider, prime time, and I think that's great. And then to do the testing after service, I think that's awesome to hear. And we thank you for what you do. So please send us those pictures and let us know how Day of Unity went for you.
And you are more than welcome. This is our first time doing this, so my prayer is that it goes well as expected.
I'm sure it will. God always honors effort. We got to put our faith into action, and that's what He will honor. So I wish you the best.
I have a question. Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Hello?
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
My name is Linda Felix. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. And I am representing St. Philip AME Church, the Women's Missionary, where I am attempting to start up an HIV education unit. My question is, how can we see the slides from the webinar again, that I might be able to share that with the ladies from the Women's Missionary?
Yes, we are going to send those out. Linda, this is William, by the way. I haven't seen you for a while, but glad you were able to join us. Yes, how are you?
William Francis. Hi, darling. I was at the conference this week and missed you.
Yes,
at the reunion.
I was in LA,
yes.
I was at a meeting in LA. But you are fortunate that I'm there in Atlanta, but we will make sure that we get you the slides, and then we can have further conversation offline in reference to setting up a local training. So glad you were able to join us on today.
Okay. That's very good. You will have my email from this, right, so that you can contact me, and you probably have my phone number because it's the same number, but please get in touch with me, okay?
Yes, okay, we will do that. Thank you. And you can also go to the Black Church HIV website, and you can download the activity manual, and there is a pastoral brief that you can share with your senior pastor as well.
Okay.
So thank you again for joining us on today.
Thank you.
And Alicia, we had a comment. I saw it come up on my phone, but there was a comment earlier. I don't remember who it was from. I believe a Douglas.
I can read it for you. It was from Kevin. He said it was about the tree infographic. Said that he loves this graphic and solution. The disease is a solution of bigger issues. Fantastic.
Yes, great. And that's why we try to put stuff out there that's relevant. A lot of pastors have those aha moments because it's being explained just a little bit differently, or, maybe they're a visual learner, whatever it may be. But when we started using that graphic, we saw the conversation shift from morality and spirituality back to humanity, which was just so important to keep the conversation focused around humanity. So I appreciate the comment on that graphic. Any other questions?
We had one from Derek through the chat. It says, how can those who preach in churches that are not majority Black but are in areas of high prevalence of HIV best participate and support the Day of Unity?
What's been interesting, and this has been one of the things that has really, I think probably every city that I've been to, the conversation has come up. Of course, we have a lot of interracial, multicultural churches, white pastors that have predominantly Black congregations, et cetera. But we also started getting a lot of requests from other denominations the face rather, that wanted to come but didn't feel because it said Black Church. The one thing that joins us all together is our work in social justice. Whether it's the Old New Testament, the Veda, the Talmud, or the Quran, it's all based in social justice. So I think having that conversation about HIV and social justice, if it's something new to you as a pastor, I don't know if I would jump in with both feet. I would probably test the waters to see how my congregation responds. But when we do prayers, we had one pastor that had, always prayed, say, for cancer or for those with high blood pressure or diabetes. He started adding HIV to the different things that he said. And then he would just, sort of come back with, when we really look at them all, they're all social justice issues. My pastor that I trained under had said one day that it really just ticked him off that people would say they have HIV and would come to him and ask, well, how did that person get it? And he asked the congregation, well, if they have diabetes, do we ask if it's cake or pie? If they have cancer, do we ask what brand of cigarette? If they have heart disease, did we ask if it was, pork chops or ham? Why are we so concerned with how they got HIV? We need to be a church that prays for folks, et cetera. So there's different ways I think you can introduce it to your congregation. There's no one way that works best because you know the congregation and your teaching or preaching style, but I do encourage you to start somewhere. And again, that pastoral brief gives some great outlines for sermons that you can use, topics. It really explains social justice. My ministry going through this has really been grounded in social justice work through that pastoral brief and a full understanding of the scope of social justice. For those of you that work in ASOs and CBOs or Board of Health, we say public health and we think it's just about, our work that we do in HIV. Well, public health, too, includes safe living conditions and transportation, safe spaces, access for our disabled, different things of nature. All of that is encompassed in public health, just like it's all encompassed in social justice work. So it really works hand in hand. So I think if you start, you know your congregation best, but just start. And I think Day of Unity is a great way. It's something that you're partnered with, pastors all over the country with. It sort of takes a little bit of pressure off of you as well, that there are some names. If you go to the website, there are some pretty big names, the Timothy Sloans, the Edward Sanders, Jamal Bryant, different folks like that all participate across the country in Day of Unity. And you can always throw my name out there. I got a little bit of cred behind my name now, working with the initiative within the faith-based sector. But do start, and I look forward to hearing about your successes if you do something July 23rd. But go to the website. There'll be some great solutions. Find what works best for you. Pray and do as God directs you to do.
Are there any other questions from anyone on the line?
Yes. This is Tammy, and I live in Birmingham, Alabama. I didn't get involved with this movement until just this past year. So the NAACP did come to Birmingham, but I was not a part of this movement at that time. And so I still think it's relevant, unfortunately, because Birmingham has such a high rate of HIV cases. And so my bishop is having a meeting with other faith leaders this week that are not in our AME denomination. He's invited pastors from around the Birmingham area to talk about many things, and he's allowed me to speak at that meeting. And I would love to be able to say that the NAACP will be scheduling a faith training meeting in our city soon. So how can we get that started? And I will be talking about the Day of Unity on Thursday when he allows me to speak, to make sure that everyone knows about it and hopefully get those other pastors involved. But how can we get you all to come to Birmingham?
Great. What we'll do is there should be can we put up an email, Alicia, where she can contact? Again, I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Birmingham a lot. This week I actually have to be in New York after I fly back home. But you can definitely use the pastoral brief, the activity manual, the resources that we have there for Day of Unity. And if you contact either Dorothy or Alicia, Dorothy's on the phone as well, one of them will get back in contact with you, and then we can schedule me to come out to Birmingham and possibly do a training for your bishop and your faith leaders there. I think, I wouldn't have an issue with doing that. It's not a far drive at all.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And you did register for today's call?
Yes, I did register.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and that was Tammy from Birmingham. So we'll go ahead and pull your email, and I'll make sure that you have my contact information as well. Go ahead, Alicia.
I just wanted to say the email is up on the screen as well as our contact us page, so you can reach us that way. And then we'll also be sending an email with all today's information. So it'll come from info@theblackchurchandhiv.org. So you'll have it in your inbox as well.
Thank you, Alicia.
You're quite welcome.
All right. Next question. Comment?
Hi, my name is Ruth Youngbay, and I'm calling from Newark, New Jersey. I belong to Allen AME Church there, where the pastor is Reverend Cynthia Jackson.
Yes.
And I was listening to the other sister that was on the phone just now, and she was saying about scheduling training. And I was wondering, I hadn't heard anything about you being up north, and I'm in New Jersey. So will you be coming soon to New Jersey to do some faith leader training?
If you can also send us an email, I'll have to check the actual schedule. I know we're going to be in Baltimore for the National Convention the end of July, and I'm just trying to picture my calendar. But if you also send us an email just with your city contact information, we'll follow up on that as well. You'll hear back from either Alicia or Dorothy on what we can do in the Jersey area as well. I believe we did go to Trenton and Philadelphia. I think it was Philadelphia was the closest that we got to Jersey. But I'm from Willingboro, so if we need to get to South Jersey, we'll make that happen as well.
No, we're in Newark.
Newark. I'm sorry.
If I may interrupt. We do have something scheduled for, it's either going to be September or October. We haven't locked down a date yet, but we'll be downtown New York City. I know that still might be a little far, but that is another option.
Okay. Well, I'd love to see you all come to Newark. We're in great dire need.
Send an email, and we'll go ahead and discuss that on our next planning call.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next
and another way to find more information about the event is you can check out the website on our events page. We add new events on there periodically, so you can always check the events as well. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have another question, comment? All right. Well, it sounds as if all hearts and minds are clear, as we say in the church house. Again, it has been my absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you all. Please send us a follow-up email so we can discuss that on our planning call in reference to these additional trainings that can possibly be done. And then communication, again, we'll get right back to you. I encourage you to go to the website, make sure that you sign up for all the exciting updates. I'm looking forward to hearing the great stories that come out of Day of Unity, because we know if one can chase 1,000, two can chase over 10,000. What could we do if we come together as one? We can end HIV, and I'm really excited to be a part of this great move. So as we look to close, we don't do a benediction at the ASEA Center, because we believe that what we discussed and we did here on today needs to continue outside of this call. So I just pray blessings over each and every one of you. I'm looking forward to hearing again from the stories from July 23rd and beyond. So my name is Pastor William Francis. I can also be reached through the Black Church and HIV website, and I look forward to talking with you again very, very soon. I thank you for your time on today, and if there's any further questions, feel free to submit those, and we will get back to you as well. So God bless, and have a very safe and blessed week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.